This is Doomcast number 58 coming your way live. It's the 12th day of September 2014. My name is Doug Owen. I am the senior editor of blacklistednews.com. My cohort, my partner in thought crime over here, Mr. Charlie McGrath, is the editor of wideawakenews.com. We, of course, broadcast live weekly from our website, Doomcast.com. That's where you can find everything, including great commentary videos by Charlie McGrath and other cool stuff that our producer, Craig, puts up for us. What's up, Charlie McGrath? How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you? And we were just both commenting to the few folks that were listening to the live stream about how we're both ready for this week to be over with. And I haven't spoke to you all week. I've been in Canada all week, and today's been a catch-up day, and my head is thumping, and I think I have Canadian Ebola, and my kid's down sick, and I have a new dog that won't listen to me. So I'm ready for this week. You're going to Margaritaville, you said, and I might be going to some other kind of ville after the program tonight. Maybe an IPA-ville after the program tonight.
A little hoppy.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe just like a pale ale. How about that? A couple pale ales and go to bed and not wake up till I want to tomorrow.
Well, yeah, that sounds like a great thing. I don't know if I'm going to actually drink anything because I'm pretty tired anyway, and I think that would just knock me into
I like that sound effect. I like that impromptu sound effect of you falling and hitting the floor.
It's kind of stuff that we do here on the Doomcast. We take it to the next level, a notch above.
This is golf clap on Doomcast.
That's a great sound effect as well, Charlie McGrath. That sounds great.
Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk with you. It's been, like I said, a long-ass week. I want to say hello to all. I did have a message from somebody who knew I was going to Canada that was in the Edmonton area, and I apologize. It was I didn't have an opportunity to visit anybody other than the work I went up there to do. It was 7 a.m. Until about 9 p.m, and then crash, and then get up and do it again. And then my flight back yesterday was I had to leave the hotel at 3 a.m. To meet the criteria of 2 hours for an international flight at the Edmonton International Airport, only to find out, Doug Owen, oh man, this really, as my kid says from watching Family Guy, grinds my gears. I follow the rules because one thing I don't want to do is miss a flight home, right? I've missed flights because of security crap before going to, and that's usually not a big deal. You can usually find a flight the next morning or later that day, and you can call whoever you're going to meet with and say, hey, I missed my flight, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be a little bit late. No big deal. But going home, you never, ever, ever want to miss that flight because you're going home. You want to go home. You're tired. You've had enough. So their rule is 2 hours for international flights in Canada, which is, it's basically the same rule we have here. So I get up 3 a.m. I'm an hour from the airport. My flight's at 6 a.m. I drive. I go to the car rental place exactly, and I'm there exactly at 3:58. There is nobody there at that time in the morning, so you just drop your car off and walk away. I go through the security line. I fill out my custom, and then they just put me into. I don't know how to describe it. It's a 50-foot by 50-foot room, like a bunch of cattle. We're all just standing there in like 10 lines in this room, waiting for customs to open,
like a pin pasture.
Exactly. It's like a little corral. They had us in a little corral. And I didn't know this. If I'd have known this, I'd have slept for an extra half hour. Customs doesn't open until 4:45 in the morning. So even though we all had to be there at 4, go through security, we couldn't go through. And you go through customs there. You don't in Edmonton. There's a customs into the U.S. there. So you technically, once you go through customs, even though you're still in Canada, you're on U.S. soil in the airport. But nobody shows up there until 4:45. So you have 300 people standing in this little pen, waiting to get on. And let me reiterate, it is 4:15 in the morning. So we're all pissed off. We're all mad. We're all tired. We all just want to go to sleep, and we all want to get the hell on our plane so we can just fall asleep to our next destination. It was very, very annoying, and it started that yesterday, which was Thursday, which was when we were going to do the Doomcast. Started out like that, waiting like cattle. And then when I get to Denver, everything's delayed because of fog. Freaking record cold weather for this time of year in Denver and here in Montana. I don't know about how are you down there? Are you guys cold?
Come on now. Come on now.
Come on now.
It was, we had a cold front come through. So we actually have a little rain in the background, which is very nice and rare here in Texas. But, it's just been miserable hot.
Well, it's been, cold. This is Montana, so we're used to, in the dead of winter, maybe, a high of 20 degrees would be a nice day. But when you go from 80s to high of 40 and then so cold at night that there's snow on the ground in the morning, it's kind of a shocker. But anyway, all this fog was in Denver. All my flights were delayed. I didn't get back till late last night. And it just yesterday felt like 2 days shoved into one day.
So you weren't at the big dinner?
What big dinner?
The big dinner? Obama's big dinner? The Council on Foreign Relations met up?
Missed it.
This week, prior to the ISIS crisis and, of course, the 13th anniversary of September 11th.
Which I flew on, by the way, proudly.
Oh, dude.
Did
you? Did you tell anybody Happy 9/11 Day?
I absolutely did.
No, you didn't.
I absolutely did.
Happy 9/11, everybody.
I said, it's 9/11. It's our anniversary. When I was climbing onto the plane in Edmonton. And, I refused to be freaked out by it. And a lot of people were. There was all kinds of little, oh, hey, bad luck, blah, 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 something's going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't think so. We have our war on terror. It's entrenched. We're good to go. We don't need another false flag to ensure.
False flag alert, man. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It might be. I'm sure it is. And there's so many of them to kind of throw rocks at or point sticks at that it's, just spins you in circles. But I do want to mention this because I think it's pretty interesting. Remember Sandy Berger?
Yep.
Okay, Sandy Berger. Okay, this guy was the douchebag that was caught destroying classified documents about Bill Clinton's record on terrorism issues. Okay, so whatever this is beyond the 28 pages of redacted information about the involvement of Saudi Arabia in the financing of terrorists that attacked us on 9/11. At least that's one of the interesting things that came out this year. People are talking about the 28 pages. But anyway, this goes beyond that. Think about this. He lost his license to practice law. And these are big-time felonies. So whatever he destroyed was so damning, so illegal, whatever it was, that he decided to put his life on the line or his livelihood on the line. So he, of course, is meeting closely with none other than President Obama. Now, listen to the people that he met with. You're going to like this group. You got Sandy Berger, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Tom Zig, Richard Haas, who is the CFR president, Steve Hadley, CFR, Jane Harman, who is the AIPAC spy. I was looking into Jane. She's got a really, really interesting tree of connections. Her rich husband, Sidney Harman, is a billionaire philanthropist. Can't even talk tonight.
You're having a tough time with words tonight.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe I should get into the speaking thing before we start doing this podcast.
La. We should do that little warm up. But go ahead. Yeah, Zig, Tom, Rich, Jane, Sid.
Yeah. No, he is. I'm sorry. I'm just reading this thing here about him. But anyway, he bought Newsweek for $1. And that just tells you a little bit about him. But we're going right back to the AIPAC spy scandal. Jane Harman was at the center of it. In 2009, it was reported that there were NSA taps of her. In 2005, talking to the Israeli government and giving over secrets about the investigations into two of the AIPAC employees. For all of you not familiar, AIPAC is the American Israeli Political Action Committee. Pretty influential here in the U.S. They still steer a lot of the, the foreign direction, foreign policy, and our war policy.
Plus, let's not forget we donate your tax dollars to the tune of at least, not right directly through AIPAC, but through as far as military aid, financial aid to Israel. What is it? $3 billion, $5 billion every single year?
Depends on the year. Just depends on how much they cry or how many rockets hit them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting group of people that are behind the latest things that are happening in Syria and in the war in the Middle East, for sure. I'm sure that Ukraine and the handling of Russia is probably paramount for Mr. Haas and Mr. Brzezinski. But interesting group of people. to have there. John Podesta, international war criminal. So you got to really wonder who's steering things.
We got John, Sid, Jane, Rich, Tom, Zig, and old Sandy. And isn't it just a who's list of who used to be and still is? I mean, it's amazing. I've said it time and again in videos. In a nation of, what are we now, 315 million people, I mean, if you don't think that this system is completely dominated by a very, very select small group of individuals, and I'm talking, Doug, what, 10,000 maybe? Maybe? In the superpower elite slot, maybe 2,000 or 3,000.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, that just keep getting reconstituted cycle after cycle. Maybe they're out of the lamplight for a while, but they're always influential, and they're always pressing the buttons towards this same world order, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, and if you don't think that is happening, then you're one of those people.
Yeah, like you're an Edmonton cattle pen waiting for customs to open up so they can ask you if you have any fruit in your pocket.
Do you have any fruit? Have you let anybody else touch your bag? Just this guy, this really radical Islamic guy out in the parking lot. I let him take my bag for 15 minutes, and I haven't looked in it since. But other than that, no.
He offered me $50 to inspect it, because he's never seen such a nice bag that he wanted to hold it. And then he took it in his van for a little while with no windows, and then he gave it back to me. So he's a good guy.
Yeah, he wished me happy 9/11.
Yes, he did. Happy 9/11, hasta la Weka, or whatever.
Yes.
Oh, we're bad. We're bad news.
So anyway, luckily enough, the entire leadership of ISIS, was blown up. An unexplained explosion happened in Syria just moments before we started the show.
That's news to me. I did not hear that.
That is breaking news. Where's my sounder?
Is al-Baghdadi dead?
I don't know if he's not. They never kill number 1 or number 2.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's usually number 3. That dude,
he's a dead man.
You're screwed, dude.
You're screwed, number 3.
Number 3.
So tell me what happened, because this is news that I've not heard yet.
Out of Breitbart, nearly 50 senior commanders, allegedly, of a major coalition of Islamic moderates opposed to ISIS, whatever that means. These are the good guys. These are ISIS.
Is FSA. This is FSA.
Right. These are the ISIS people that we're arming, that are going to take the weapons and then join ISIS.
Right. Exactly.
We're going to train them, give them weapons, and then they're going to.
They're moderates, and we love them. They're John McCain freedom fighters, and they deserve our support, because they want freedom and democracy, up until the point they get some really cool weaponry and a whole shitload of money. And then guess what? They're joining IS.
Well, and maybe this is a long-term plan. This is what the neocons would say, or I guess people that would say that, you and I are overacting. Well, we're going to track these guys and just blow them up later. We're going to have them do the dirty work, Charlie McGrath. They're the low-hanging fruit in this equation. Yeah. Well, anyway, so they have been killed in an explosion at their secret command bunker as they met to discuss strategy against the Islamic State. So these are the guys that we were going to use against the Islamic State, and all of the ISIS opposition is wiped out now. So ISIS wins another big battle in Syria. And, of course, the only thing that we can do now, Charlie McGrath, is blow up the Middle East. We have to go back to war. Yeah. And what's funny to me is that people, they're saying, well, we're going to go back to war as if it ever stopped. And
it's a great point, Doug Owen.
Yeah, we're going back to war. I cannot believe this. It's so horrendous. It's so horrific. And here's the other aspect of it. It's really not the U.S. going back to war. It's just the privatization of it. We're sending private military contractors of the CIA and FBI liaisons and all of those other advisors into this very privatized and very profitable little scheme here, which I think is
and not so little scheme. This very profitable and very privatized massive global war that is dominating the Middle East and North Africa and Africa right now, and so for anybody to be shocked that that Obama 3 months ago was talking about no combat troops, and now we're sitting there with a reported 1,700 American troops on the ground. Of course, all they're doing is they're working with the Peshmerga. They're working with the freedom-loving Iraqis that want ISIS out of there, guiding in bomb strikes and that kind of thing. But you can hear the tenor and the tone pushing further and further toward more U.S. troops on the ground. Now, I was traveling all week, Doug Owen, but I did listen to or read a little bit of Obama backpedaling on troop boots on the ground and his grand plan for ISIS. And I mean, it scared the hell out of me. It's just more of the same war. They're saying that the other nations need to be involved. The Middle East, the Arab nations need to be involved. Turkey needs to be involved. But, Turkey comes out today and says they want nothing to do with this ISIS war on ISIS plan. They want nothing to do with boots on the ground inside of Syria or inside of northern Iraq. So inevitably, I'm afeared you might be right when you said earlier that we might have another false flag coming. You see the momentum building against ISIS and against continuing operations in this region, but escalating them, and it absolutely it's beyond frustrating to me to see this continue. I mean, how long have we been at war, Owen? How long have we been at war? I mean, since what, 2002 inside of Afghanistan? It's 2014, folks. That's an entire generation that knows nothing other than the United States of America at war. And that goes on both sides. So you have kids that are approaching military age that do not know anything other than a United States in war. And then you have kids who were born in Afghanistan or Iraq or these regions of the world that we're decimating that want nothing more than to kill us. Why? Because they are living in a literal hell because of the actions that the West has taken against them.
Yeah, and we have this new generation of people that will never know what it was like to live in the 1990s and have a mullet and live freely and feel risky. I mean, that's one of the things I think that's such a travesty is that we now live in this cult of fear, this security theater rules the day, and people unfortunately just can't remember back. I mean, you and I and many of the listeners, most of the listeners, can remember a time where people weren't so quick to just turn over their lives and be completely transparent with all of these new agencies. I mean, that's one of the big takeaways. I know a lot of people that, focused on the 9/11 smoking guns, and I think it's a really interesting I kind of went down my own rabbit hole and started looking
like Building 7 type things.
Yeah, well, I mean, things have changed in a lot of regards to the discussion around 9/11. I mean, if you've seen the Rethink 9/11 campaign, they actually have videos down in downtown New York City that have the falling, the video footage of Building 7 crashing over and over again. And they also have this new initiative for the High-Rise Safety Initiative, which is another interesting angle, basically trying to get a ballot initiative to look at safety of high rises, because if they can just fall from small fires in the basements, or even maybe a generator exploding, or some of the other different things that NIST has put forward as to why Building 7 fell, then you have a big problem. You have a really big engineering and structural safety problem. So I like that angle. You have architects for and engineers for 9/11 Truth getting time in the mainstream media, on C-SPAN, on just a variety of different platforms. So I think the discussion is opened up. Now people are willing to look at it and think about it now that some of the pain, the direct pain, and let's be honest, the consequences of what happened in the immediate aftermath. And that's the erection of the shadow government, that is the Patriot Act, the false flag anthrax attacks that were used to go directly after those that were in opposition to the Patriot Act. Several congressmen, I had a couple. Paul Craig Roberts actually did a really great, I was just going to pull it up, a really great piece
did they
on
ever,
it.
Sorry to cut you off, but before you go on with Paul Craig Roberts' piece on that, that is still an unsolved. The whole anthrax in the envelope deal, that's still unsolved, correct?
I think that they blamed it pretty much on David Ray Kelly, I think his name was.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Let's see. I just had a little piece about that and how it was used. Let me see. Pardon me here.
I find it interesting that you said the erection.
The erection
of the shadow government.
We got the shadow government. Yeah.
We got the shadow government erection.
Let's see. It's a long piece, but it basically hallmarks and highlights some of the things that we said. There's a generation. Here you go. A generation of Americans has been born into disdain and distrust of Muslims. A generation of Americans has been born into a police state in which privacy and constitutional protections no longer exist. A generation of Americans have been born into a continuous warfare state while the needs of regular citizens go unmet. A generation of Americans have been born into a society which truth is replaced with the endless repetition of falsehoods.
Yeah. And fear. And when you think about that, you literally, if you're 30 years old or younger, then you have, because if you're 30 years old, when would you have been born? Oh, in 1990, you'd be 1980
80 something.
80 something. Okay. Well, if you were growing up in the 90s and you were a kid, you don't know anything different. But if you're over 30 years old, you realize that what we have now is so incredibly different. The repetition of fear and the repetition of hate and the repetition of war and the continuation of war is so much different now than when, let's say, I was in my early 20s. It's completely different. The military I joined it seems its mission was completely different than it is now.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, protecting oil wells and assets and working at the behest of foreign dictators to secure our energy resources and keep us competitive against Vladimir Putin over there. I mean, this is as PNAC said, this is the catalyst that we need to have a new world order, to have absent of a new Pearl Harbor, it would be hard to move forward into a security state. And voila, here we are. I know I paraphrased, but just quickly, the anthrax attacks of October 2001 have been forgotten, but Professor Graeme McQueen in the 2001 anthrax deception video, and I've seen that before, it's been a while, shows that the anthrax attacks played an essential role in setting the stage for the government's acquisition of unaccountable police state power. Two Democratic Senate Committee chairmen, Thomas Daschle and Patrick Leahy, were disturbed by the Bush regime's overreaction for carte blanche power and were in position to block the coming police state legislation and the ability of the executive branch alone to take America to war. And that is being used by Obama, although he said he wanted to repeal that, to rescind those types of powers. He is using those and hailing those and saying that I, Dictator Obama, have those. And I embellish, but anyway, back to this. Both senators received anthrax letters, as did major news organizations. The TV network news anchors such as Dan Rather, who compared the collapse of World Trade Center skyscrapers to buildings being brought down by a controlled demolition, had not yet been fired by Republicans on framed-up charges. We talked about Tom Donahue on the Doomcast and
Yes.
All of the people that were in opposition. And that was the thing that was really interesting to see, and that was that there was this concerted effort to push war. And anybody at the time, I mean, we forget about this because it's 13 years on, but 2001, if you dared question the Bush administration, right, left, Democrat, Republican, anybody, you were deemed a dissident and unpatriotic. And there was just this crazy fervor of groupthink, cognitive dissonance, faux patriotism that came with it.
Absolutely, 100% correct. And but you can't. I don't blame Americans or anybody really for regardless in the West, because the West all kind of globbed on to 9/11 as the beginning of the war on terror. I mean, that was a very, very tragic, horrific event, and it's understandable that people would be sucked into this phony patriotism, but it doesn't take a lot of investigation or a lot of critical thinking to see that the numbers don't add up and that things weren't correct, that weren't right, and the narrative that we were being given at that time didn't make sense. And more importantly, the actions that happened forthwith, the things that happened afterward, the decimation of a freedom-loving society, the complete immersion into a police state. All of that screams that it was, I hate to use the word inside job, but it was certainly a very fortuitous event for the powers that are in control now, Doug Owen.
It absolutely was. It shaped not only the foreign policy of this nation, but really the world. And wait a
minute. Are we still streaming? Craig wants to know.
No, we're not streaming. This freaking thing is, I'm going to rebroadcast a new stream. But
okay.
I'm doing that in the background here. But anyway, yeah, it's needless to say, it has changed everything. And let's be honest, it sucks.
I agree. I agree that it sucks. I get more frustrated all the time when I see headlines like we've seen this week about prosecuting more war in the Middle East, and I don't see anybody in government really that has the fortitude to stand up and say, this is a sham. We need to stop this. This is, there's no more Ron Pauls. There's an occasional, Ron Paul light in Rand Paul, but who's standing up for sanity in our government? And the answer is nobody. Even this anti-war president is marching us, heavily back into more and more war. And, now, before it was, we had nations that were harboring terrorists, but it was still the perfect enemy because they could never surrender. They could really never be tamped out. We could never plant our flag and say we won. It's just this war that's going to go on in perpetuity against terrorism. It's even better now with ISIS because you have, regions of the world that they're trying to be taken over. They're trying to make them into these kind of, Hitler-esque type individuals who are claiming land and beheading Christians and want nothing but to impose Sharia law. And maybe a lot of that's true, but the fact that I think a lot of Americans don't realize is that we funded that. They're driving Humvees. They're firing M2s and M16s. They're using our money and our weaponry in order to fight what is going to be the U.S. once again. You back with me?
Well, yeah, I'm here. I just wanted to push the stream and get it going here. Yell at my wife to turn off Netflix. Stop playing Netflix. No,
I only need it for 29 more minutes, baby.
Yeah. Well, and they're using ISIS as a great boogeyman or strongman to go after different countries, and threaten them. Okay, and this is also bringing in all of these other. I don't even know where we put Iran anymore. Friend, foe, convenient ally when convenient, and only when convenient.
Well, Israel's ticked off right now because of the focus. This is out of establishment media, so I don't know how much weight to give it. But talks are that Israel is concerned that Iran is coming out of focus as ISIS becomes more of a momentum builder for the United States, and they're concerned that we're not angry enough or putting enough pressure on Iran because of ISIS. And if you look at a map, it would seem that if Israel had a concern, certainly Syria, Iraq are closer to Israel than Iran is, and if there is this rogue 31,500 army of jihadists, that they would be more concerned about ISIS at this point than Iran. But who knows? This is the politics of the Middle East, and this one thing I do know: we're going to support Israel regardless. If it's being against Iran or against ISIS or against anybody. That you can bet your bottom dollar that we're going to be funneling money and guns and intelligence to the nation of Israel.
The only thing that Israel can't do and has to have the U.S. and Europe really get on board with is sanctioning. They just don't have the economy. It doesn't matter if everybody in Israel doesn't buy Swiss cheese. The Swiss don't care. It doesn't matter if they decide to. The only thing that they have is the military option. They have lots of U.S. dollars, but they are completely dependent on U.S. taxpayers for subsidizing the lack of the economy. And really, they're becoming more and more isolated as the world turns away from them. And I've seen some of the latest polls, and guess what? The United States is the only country where people actually have a positive opinion of Israel. We're the only country. Popular belief or popular opinion of Israel is at all-time low, and it's just because of what they do. I mean, obviously, their war hawkish policies that are disadvantageous to any peace process, and just continually, I think it's interesting because they do upset the world order, but they are conveniently the boogeyman that the U.S. supports. So we have this kind of awkward relationship with Israel because they are so influential in Congress, in the Senate, but at the same time, they do run counter to a lot of the objectives of world government. So when it comes to Israel and what they want, I think that, number one, that they saber rattle. Number two, they're obviously losing some power and influence because the U.S. is definitely making closer ties and relationships to Iran because there's nothing that we can get from Israel. Israel can, buy influence and buy politicians, but there's nothing that American businesses want to buy. Fortune 500 companies, the people that are, definitely, butting up to the military-industrial complex. There's none of those. There's none of those interests. Now, Iran, there's so much interest. There's economic incentives to do business with Iran. So that's the kind of, I guess, predicament that Israel is in. They have lots of influence. They have lots of U.S. tax dollars. They have congressmen in their pockets. They have tons of dual Israeli citizens that are working on their behalf. But they don't have shit. They don't have anything. They're creating a miserable police state. Their youth population wants to get the F out of there as soon as possible because you have to join the military. You have to go and raid Palestinians. And there's just, it's just a different day. Kids aren't into that anymore. So, they've got a whole range of problems, which makes them even more dangerous because they're like a dog that's backed into a corner. They have a demographic population problem. They have an influence problem. They have a relevancy problem. They have a UN, EU problem. In the U.S., we've broken the bank with our $7 trillion war since 2001 problem, and nobody believes us anymore problem.
It's a lot of problems, Owen. Yeah, a nation of just over 8 million people is living. That is Israel, and they are backed into a corner, and they are a dog backed into a corner, but they're a nuclear dog. I honestly think, there's a lot of Israel bashing that goes on in a lot in alternative media, not as much obviously in mainstream media, but no, not at all. But if you look, I mean, if you look at their borders, you can. There's a case to be made that these people, these 8 million people, powerful or not, I mean, they're hated. They're hated by everybody around them, and as you pointed out, a lot of the world has a negative outlook. Hey, there's old Fritzy here.
Fritz. What kind of dog is Fritz? He's your new dog. We might as well talk about him. It's better than talking about Israel and what douchebags they are. Well, but, did you hear Ted Cruz? Before we talk about Fritz, Ted Cruz, who's kind of a Tea Party darling, sweetheart for the libertarians. I know
who Ted Cruz is.
You know who he is.
Yeah,
he's that guy. Well, anyway, Ted Cruz, he usually gets standing ovations, even at liberal colleges, for his anti-interventionist stance and anti-Washington rhetoric. I mean, his wife works for Goldman Sachs, and
of course,
so
as does Aaron Burnett's husband.
Yes, and she's part of the Council on Foreign Relations. Did you know that? So is her husband.
I didn't know that she was part of the CFR, but I knew that she was a big Wall Street darling. I mean, married into that ilk, and she's got to be, because if you ever watched her report, I mean, she's beautiful looking, but she's the worst reporter that is on your airwaves. Period.
Well, I mean, none of those people are reporters anyway. We've talked about that. They're just reading teleprompters. They don't have, and they probably have opinions, but they don't air them because they want to get paid. So they their mouthpieces for the establishment. But anyway, point being that Ted Cruz was at some conference, and I've got the video here. I could play it, but no point. No, he gets booed off the stage because he starts talking about supporting Israel. It's just not popular anymore. It's going to be a big problem for those people out there that want to continue to support Israel. And I think that there is a huge contingent of people outside of the dying demographic of old crazy, the moral majority. Remember those guys in the 80s? Those are the people that still support Israel, and they are dying. So, demographic problem.
Apparently, Fritz agrees with you because you probably just heard him bark. You get out. Go.
Maybe he's anti-Semitic.
I think he is Fritz. They're our friends. That's our only ally in that region of the world. Get out of here with that. I shouldn't have named him Fritz.
Oh, man. You're towing the line here, Charlie McGrath. It hurts my soul.
Get out of here, Fritz, you anti-Semite dog.
Yeah, if you need friends like Israel, you are in a bad way. Let me put it to you that way.
Let's talk about my dog.
So what's up with Fritz? What made you get a dog? And now you're cleaning up somebody else's poop. So what's up with that?
Yeah, I've got two dogs now. I've got Trixie, of course, who's getting long in the tooth. She's pushing 11 or 12 years old. And my former wife rescued this dog, which is part Pomeranian and part Corgi.
Oh my God, that is a furry little guy, huh?
It's cute as could be. Look, it's white with fawn.
So you can get a little backpack or a little purse.
Oh no, it's not that little. It's probably a 18-pound dog.
But corgis can be slightly aggressive. I've got a friend who has one, and she bit some children.
Well, the guy who had it, the guy who had this dog, apparently
coming from a guy that has a pit bull, but yeah, pit bull aggressive. I'm gonna worry about my corgi less than about yours. Isn't a pit bull though, is it? She's a Staffordshire Terrier. She actually is one, and that's usually like what people say whenever they want to get an apartment. And they're like, "Do you have a pit bull?" And they're like, "Oh no, it's a Staffordshire Terrier." So it's a terrier, but it makes it even worse because it's more terrier than bull. So less bull, more terrier, more
safety.
No more hunting and killing other animals and birds, anything that she can get her hands on. Great with children. Your children can stick their heads in her mouth and she will just lick them. But if it's furry, it moves. It has to die. It has to die.
Well, this old Fritz, who was named after, you said why Fritz? Well, I'm trying to remember what the guy had named it. Something that sounded like Fritz, Ritz, or something like that. something that I didn't like. But
get over here, Spitz.
It was Blitz. That's what it was. Blitz. He named the dog Blitz, and he trained it because I guess corgis or maybe Pomeranians are kind of yipper dogs. They like to bark. Well, yes. This one was trained. It's like a year old, and its whole life it wore this shock collar. And I think this guy used to get drunk and just torture this dog with the shock collar because it has literally got a scar that fur won't grow in around its neck.
Whoa!
Because it's been shocked so much. Which is horrible. I feel horrible for the dog.
As you laugh about it.
Poor dog. Anyway, what the silver lining to that is the dog doesn't bark. So the dog that you heard just yipping a minute ago, that was Trixie. Because old Fritz refuses to bark because I think that every time he did, he was getting jolted. So, yeah. But anyway, then the reason that I changed his name to Fritz is because Django Unchained. Did you see that movie?
No.
Oh, you haven't seen Django Unchained?
No, I just heard it was a big N-bomb movie. That's what Quentin Tarantino is into, dropping the N-bomb.
Yeah,
always has been.
It was a good. There was. I mean, it was like said like
there's a black cowboy. I'm out.
He wasn't a cowboy. He was a slave. He was a slave that turned into a bounty hunter, and it was a good movie. I mean, I recommend it, and okay. You should watch it sometime. But one of the lead characters in it is Dr. King Schultz, and every time he introduces himself, he introduces his horse as well, and he's a German American, and his horse's name is Fritz, and the horse bows on command. So I named this little guy Fritz because. I don't know. He's cute and adorable, like Dr. King Schultz's horse.
That's cool. That's
my story.
So I was just so wrapped up in the new iPhone 6 and the new fingerprint pay system and my new Apple Watch here that I'm playing with.
Whoa. You got a new iPhone?
No, of course not. But you know how excited people are? I mean, you could have said that there was nuclear war and be like, well, hold on. There's a new Apple iPhone. Hold on, people.
Yeah.
That was the big rage this week. If there was one thing that was... there's two things that were being sold. The iPhone and absolute terror.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it. And on the topic of the... I can talk about terror. We can talk about that all you want. Terror. The phone thing, the disconnect with the phone, and this is going to sound like old fogey talk here, but it was funny because yesterday while I was traveling all day, and Wednesday night I got done with my meetings and I was in my hotel room. It was on the 16th floor, looking down onto one of the main streets in Edmonton, Canada. And, there's hundreds and hundreds of people walking, and every single one of them, I'm just people watching from my hotel room, and every single one of them is looking at their phone and not paying attention to anything going on around them. Well, right a half a block down the road, certainly within my vision, is this homeless guy who's losing his mind. He's just arms flailing, not in any individual, just, in interflexion, I guess. He was, waving his arms. He had his shopping cart there, and he was, battling some demon that nobody else could see. But it was incredible to me that I watched no less than, 250 people walk past him. And and he was in the alley interest, and he wasn't even on the sidewalk. But as they'd walk past him, their eyes would be on their iPhone or Samsung or whatever, and they would instinctually, give him a 3 or 4 foot extra wide little arc to get around him, and then just keep going. And when I was coming through the airports on Thursday, and I notice this all the time, that everybody is. I mean, can you imagine the devastation to the economy if somehow just cell service was killed globally? Some kind of revolution scenario where suddenly cell phones don't work. That business alone has got to be worth globally trillions of dollars each year. But it's making a people that are completely disconnected from one another and want nothing to do with anybody else. They only want to be checking their phone for the latest whatever NFL scores. Oh, we got to get into NFL too.
Yeah, the NFL. Ugh. There's some interesting stuff that's happened this week. 9/11 Truth tie-in with the NFL. So
do it.
Here's some interesting trends. And I find trends sometimes in sporting news, I see them, because I look at so much news. I'm basically a curator, aggregator of news. You are as well. And you'll see stuff. So anyway, the Huffington Post has a new national security fellow. And interestingly enough, he was charged with manslaughter, and he used to tweet about 9/11 conspiracies. Donte Stallworth is the new Huffington Post national security correspondent. Now, you're already asking yourself, why the F did the Huffington Post hire an NFL star to be reporting as a reporting fellow for their national security? I don't know.
I want to know.
There is no reason. But interestingly enough, and I wonder if this is part of his deal, here's a pretty funny take from Russ Baker here. It says, how is the brave new world of online journalism doing? Consider this. The Huffington Post has hired NFL star Donte Stallworth as the reporting fellow to cover national security. His experience in this area is limited to tweeting his views on subjects ranging from 9/11 to ISIL. That's apparently sufficient cred for Huffington Post politics managing editor Amanda Turkle, who said there's been, quote, a national security wonk lurking underneath Dante's helmet for some time, as anyone knows or who follows him on Twitter knows, and she's not alone, end quote. The website Foreign Policy last year offered him a job. The CFR offered Donte Stallworth a job. You got to wonder. I mean, what's going on with this guy? So
the CFR what did the CFR offer him a job under the same kind of?
Let me click the
title?
link. I've got a link right here to Foreign Policy.
What the hell? This guy was what? Doug Owen, you are a million times more qualified to take that job at the Huffington Post than Donte Stallworth.
Right. Well,
I mean, just by osmosis of covering events. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe. Come on, man. I've never heard that about him before.
Okay. Well, here's. I'll just pass this to you, and Craig. I'm sure. Thank you, Craig, for everything you do. We'll put this into the table of contents. like he did last week with the soundboard. Some people have taken advantage. I've been getting some prank calls on our caller line. We've got some really interesting ones that we should share with whenever we want to go down the UFO rabbit hole. I've got some people that are being probed that are trying to contact us. And
really?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. But anyway, here's some of his latest tweets.
I want to hear the probe people.
Oh, you want to hear him? Really?
Well, we don't have to. No,
this is pretty good. I think it's kind of... Well, let's just see. I've got it in my voice thing. Let's see. Voice. My voice recorder. Let's see. Voice.google, maybe? Does that work? Oh, it did work. Let's see. Here you go. Wait. I can't play it from this computer. Yeah, I can, but...
Anonymous tip from the internet.
You don't hear that, though, do you?
I don't hear anything.
Okay. I've got to load it up on my phone. But anyway, Donte, interesting guy to be their new wonk. But anyway, he used to tweet about 9/11 truth, being an inside job, stuff like that. That you know, you're like, okay, well, why did somebody get to this guy? Now he got charged with manslaughter. So I'm wondering if this is part of his, co-opting. They're like, look, you need to shut up and join the CFR. I don't know. It's just one of these things where you have a lot of stuff that's happening in the NFL. Of course, everybody's talking about Ray Rice, and even today, Adrian Peterson was indicted for child abuse. So there's a lot of focus on. Well,
and let's not. Ray Rice, who, you saw that video, correct?
Yeah, and I think if you haven't, it's pretty appalling. He uppercuts his wife because allegedly she spit on him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and she came at him, but it's Ray frickin' Rice, NFL superstar, probably can bench 350 pounds, and he just waylays this 105-pound woman, his fiance, who married him the next day. But what's disgusting about it is the
didn't even wait till the honeymoon.
Shut up, Owen. I shouldn't have laughed at that. What's
See,
disgusting...
we had sponsors instead of being able to do this ourselves.
We'd be done.
We'd be done.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, what's disgusting about it is this false outrage by the NFL, because they had this video in their possession 5 months ago, and it's not till TMZ breaks it where they have to do damage control, and the Ravens, fire him immediately on the spot because this video is made public. But I find it to be completely disingenuous on the part of the NFL to talk. They're always covering their butts after the case. Be it suicides or be it concussions or any kind of damage that these players are wreaking in this country on their families. They always come out after the fact as if they were, being concerned about it the whole time. But the only thing they care about is money. The NFL knew that Ray Rice was a woman beater 5 months ago, and they certainly had the video, and they certainly could have fired him outright. But
that's
Ray
the
Rice
contention. They're saying that they didn't have the video, that they didn't see the video. But to me, it doesn't really matter. I think the sad thing is that there were so many people last night for Thursday Night Football that were wearing Ray Rice jerseys. That it just really speaks to volumes. And I heard all of these apologetic women that are, well, it's a mistake. People make a mistake. For me, it's real simple. Okay, you never touch a woman.
Rape's a mistake. Did you give them?
It might be a mistake, but it's not an accident.
Right.
There's a huge distinction between that. It absolutely was a mistake. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't accidental. There was no love when he, if you see him, he just kind of kicks her with his foot to get her out of the way of the elevator. It's just...
And then when the doors open, he picks her up so nobody sees her KO'd, and then tries to get her out of there. Yeah.
And here's the thing. I think that most people were kind of, or at least shocked about, and that is that, it seemed that the NFL didn't care that they knew that he had knocked her out. It was only after the world saw her being knocked out that it became a huge problem.
Well, see, from what I read, the same source that leaked it to TMZ had confirmed that the NFL
sold it to TMZ, by the way. Sold.
Yeah, sold. Okay, but had confirmed that the NFL had the tape back at the time of the court proceedings.
Well, know that they've got, is it Mike Morrell? No, it's it's one of those FBI. It might be Mike Morrell. They've got him involved because the AP has a report that somebody inside the NFL saw this, and they had a call from somebody from the NFL headquarters that they said that they had received the tape and they had seen the tape, and that's what the AP reported. Take it for what it's worth. I don't know, but
it's all damage control now. They're gonna.
It's a brand. I mean, it's a big brand, but it's this ongoing. I think using the sports arena to put out political messages has been going on for quite some time. This year, it seems to be a big meme.
Sure. And it wasn't the Ravens, the only team that took money to support, was it Obamacare? They got $95,000
to promote it.
You remember that?
Yeah. The NFL wouldn't do it. Remember Richard Goodell?
The Ravens.
Well, the Goodell said no. Now we'll see where you're at, buddy. They got a coalition for women that are after him, wanting his job. But cry me a river. The guy makes $40 million a year. He makes more money than Jamie Dimon and Lloyd Blankfein put together. Maybe not in stock options, maybe not in power, but in cash.
I don't know about that. As you said before, the NFL is being turned into this political training ground, at least to train. They
got bailout money. I mean, remember that? They got some of the troubled asset relief. So did NASCAR to refinish, the tracks, repave tracks. You're like, oh, that's great. That's obviously that helped the economy.
Yep.
We're more in debt and more fat than we've ever been before. You fat,
don't worry,
indebted people.
But don't think about it because we have enemies in the Middle East that we need to go.
There's a lot of other
bomb the crap out of.
Well, yeah, because they're on the border. They're on the border, and they're coming to kill you. Here you go. I found it. I found this. Let's see if this is it. Make sure it's not a business email. Let me see.
Anonymous tip from the internet.
Okay, this is an anonymous tip from the internet. Okay, so it's not really on the internet, but whatever. I guess he's reading something from the internet.
Anonymous tip from the internet. What does it mean.com reporting that a Russian Cosmos 2495 satellite shot down a Nazi UFO over Colorado on September the 2nd or September the 3rd. This so preposterous psyops involving extraterrestrials, the Russian government and the German government. Germans have an underground UFO base near Stuttgart, Germany.
All right, so that's an okay one. So he's telling us about the false flag Nazi UFOs over California, or Colorado, rather. Oh, let's see.
Wasn't that great one?
Okay. It's better than a drink.
Wait, here we go. This is a goodie.
Yeah, ISIL. I had a couple of drinks. There are a couple of terrorists. There's ISIS and there's Sister ISIL.
I love this guy. He's hammered.
He's hammered and calls us all night long. He's on the malt liquor. Malt liquor.
Oh my God, he is. All right, listen. Here's my message to this guy. Keep it to 5 or 6 a day, will you? Because I think he's tipping in there at about a 18 pack at that call.
Yeah, we might be driving him to
the ER. Yeah, he might be going to the ER to get some treatment if he's. He's
being probed right now. I told you there were people being probed, and they're trying to reach out to us. This is just one of many of you out there.
He said he was being probed in that one because I couldn't make out anything he was saying.
Yeah, he's getting a malt liquor probe from the Nazi aliens that were working with the German government.
Oh boy!
Oh,
that's a real thing. Did you know that? That not malt liquor probe, but I can't remember what the technical term of it is. But an enema. They give themselves an alcohol enema because
it's called butt. It's like a butt bong. What is it?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so horrendous. I don't even know if they're doing it or they're just trying to promote this thing.
No. This is a real thing. This is a real thing that I've heard legitimate people who were either in treatment programs or in AA, or these stories come out where they were so much into alcohol that they couldn't wait for the regular your body to metabolize it through your stomach, and it would be more powerful and the effect would be even stronger if they gave themselves an enema. A wine enema is the one that I heard about.
I see alcohol in butt chugging or
chugging.
alcohol enema. Alcohol enema has a wiki page. An alcohol enema, also known colloquially as butt chugging, is the act of introducing alcohol into the rectum and colon via the anus. This method of alcohol consumption is dangerous because it leads to faster intoxication, since the alcohol is absorbed directly into the bloodstream and neutralizes the body's ability to reject the toxin by vomiting.
Yeah, so don't do it, folks. It's very, very dangerous. I mean, so we're not
there's no
promoting it.
allure. So, hey, man, you want to go butt chugging? No, dude. I don't. Never call me again, ever.
Doug, hey, Doug, I got a box of wine, man. Let's do it.
Oh, man. Butt chugging, playing with his new iWatch.
There's one more sports story I wanted to get to before we wrapped up and gave donations for the week. But did you see Oscar Pistorius make headlines for he killed his girlfriend?
Right.
4 shots with his 9mm. But he
thought he was being. This is a guy that has no legs, right?
He has no
African.
legs. Yeah, he was a star in the Olympics because he made it to the Olympics. South African, and he has 2
prosthetic
looking 2 and there was a big hubbub then because they thought, oh, he has an advantage because he's more springy with his spring legs than. But whatever, he thought somebody was invading his home, broke into his home,
sure,
and he thought his girlfriend was in the bed next to him or in the bedroom. And he, unloaded his 9mm into the bathroom through a closed door and killed her.
It seems more reasonable when you don't look into the fact that they had been fighting and the police have been called out there multiple times. Yeah, just South African justice. You get one judge, so I think that it makes it pretty simple to get judged. And they're saying, okay, it's not murder, but it could be involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah,
homicide.
He was convicted of. Now this was today. He was convicted of. Yesterday, he was found not guilty of deliberate homicide, right, premeditated murder. Today, he was found convicted of negligent killing, and he could, air quote, face jail time.
It just seems to be really easy to pay off one judge. Harder to pay off a jury. Harder to go after. I don't like that idea that system where there's just one guy that determines the truth. But I guess that's just the way it works. And he probably killed her. He probably killed her on purpose. I think most people would agree. But the one thing I would say is that they didn't have the evidence. They don't have beyond the shadow of doubt, beyond the burden of proof is on the state, and they don't have it dead to rights. They don't have it beyond a reasonable doubt, and they're going to let him go on that. So, and good for you. You still don't have any legs, so maybe you got away with murder, but
he could still outrun either one of us, no problem.
Yeah, well,
Robert B. Where's Robert B. from? $20. Thank you very much, Robert B.
Rockin'. Thank you, Robert.
Oh, this is Robert B. But the message says from Kowalski.
Oh, Kowalski. I know Kowalski.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a chatter and a longtime listener and friend.
Thanks, Kowalski. And that's from Romeville, Illinois. Thank you very much. A lot of Illinois folks listen to us, that, or at least contribute to us. Brian H. $20. And no message with that, but he is from California, Foster City, California. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your support of Doomcast. I greatly appreciate it. Doug, do you have anything to report?
Liam weighed in on your health. He says, my whole family has acid reflux. They're all on the tablets. Used to go to bed and vomit into my throat, which was terrifying because you wake up and you can't breathe. My doctor says I would have to be on the tablets for life. He said, how did I cure myself? Stop eating all products with sugar in them. Do not drink any juice or anything with acid in it. Do not take sugar in your tea. I get the odd bit of indigestion, but it's went away within a day or so. That was what my buddy said, just eating stuff at night, alcohol, hoppy IPAs, those kind of things can bother you.
You know what's made it? Over the last 2 weeks, what's made it? I mean, I'm on Prilosec twice a day. Is really the only thing I'm on for acid reflux right now. I'm still waiting for some results to come back from that scope. But what I noticed, even when I was on Prilosec, caffeine.
Oh, acid, man. Just tons of acid.
Yeah, and I basically stopped drinking coffee 2 weeks ago, and it's amazing on how I've had very little stomach issues or acid reflux issues. Now, you know,
you have narcolepsy.
Yeah. Well, it isn't that bad. You know, once you go a few days without it, you kind of get used to it. And there at one point there, I was probably drinking, you know, the 2 or 3 of the big Starbucks size coffees a day, and that's just, I mean, it's just really hard on your system, really hard on your stomach.
And if you do that, I drink a lot of coffee. You can just take baking soda in tablets and or capsules. You can buy them in the capsules, the pharmaceutical grade, or you can just make them yourself. It will really help alkalize your body. And
really?
Oh, yeah.
I never heard of that. I never heard of that before.
Yeah, you can actually buy those alkaline strips, like pH strips. You can buy big, huge rolls of them at Walmart or wherever you like to buy them. I wouldn't buy them at Walmart, but they're there if you're shopping and you're out in the middle of nowhere and you just want to pick some up, and you can actually test your alkalinity by peeing on them. Pee strips. And it's a real easy way to do it, and it's a real effective.
I want to pee on the strip.
And everybody else.
And then I want to go butt chugging.
Butt chugging will give you some acid. They'll give you the rest. He had some other thoughts here. Don't eat brown bread. He said the acid reflux, the active leg syndrome. Active leg thing I forgot to mention. It sounds implausible. I actually asked God to take it away once I realized it was my own mind demons. Basically, caffeine. A lot of caffeine. A lot of stuff. He was drinking lots of tea.
That's restless leg syndrome is what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And
everybody I know, I thought about this. Everybody I know that had it, like my brother-in-law and a good buddy of mine, they're all like huge. My brother-in-law used to chug like 10 Dr. Peppers a day. I mean, the guy was just a freaking. I mean, now we've all just chastised him and told him, look, you're going to die if you keep drinking that stuff. And he's cut it way, way, way back. And when he did that, same thing with my buddy. I mean, he was drinking 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day. I'm in that realm. It's so bad for you. Ugh.
Do you ever, I've had it to where I would twitch, almost like you've had dreams before where you're falling and then you hit and then your whole body twitches. Well, I've
never hit in a dream. I've never actually hit. I've had dreams where I'm falling, but I've never actually, I always wake up.
Well, do you wake up with a jerking motion like, holy crap, what just happened?
Yeah, sometimes I'll raise up out of the bed. Not in a long time, though.
Yeah. Well, the restless leg syndrome is kind of like that, except you're awake or you're trying to fall asleep and your legs will just start twitching. And I've had it very minimally, very, very minimally, maybe 3 or 4 times ever. But I could see how that could be just terrorizing to try to sleep at night through that kind of, action. But I have no doubt that you're right about the caffeine, that it's, you're putting all that caffeine into you and your body's tweaking in the middle of the night, I guess.
Yeah. The only other thing I had was I was going to talk about my new chair here for the show.
Cherry.
It's really nice.
Tell me about your chair and we'll wrap this up.
Well, it's kind of an anecdote. I needed a couple new chairs I was doing a podcast. We did it a few years ago called Punch Bowl. Me, my brother-in-law, and a good friend of ours, Nasty Nate. And you can probably find it online if you really search. But anyway,
what happened to Punch Bowl? Is that still around? It's not around anymore?
Football season destroyed Punch Bowl. Everybody's like, oh, man, I can't come up anymore, man. Gosh, Sunday, got to be in position. So that was really what it was, and disinterest. And
tell me about your chair, and then I'm going to ask you a little bit more about
Well, anyway, so I bought these 2 chairs. And my wife, and I bought them at OfficeMax, and my wife said, get the warranty. These things are going to wear out. All these chairs, they're going to break down. Okay, the pleather around the edges, they always break down. You see them all over the place where they're a couple years old and they have just started.
You could buy warranty on a freaking office chair?
Well, yeah. So here's the anecdote. So I bought the warranties, and of course, just about a month ago, I was looking at them. I'm like, these things squeak. And it sucked because I would do the podcast and I'd try my best to, sit still. And I'm like, these things suck. They're breaking down. Let's go get some new chairs. So go take them to OfficeMax. Okay. And they say, no. You don't bring them here. You take pictures of the damage and you send it through their protection warranty. Yeah, I hear yours. Service over there. And you just text us the pictures. And if we find it's under warranty, we'll send you a refund for the price of the chair. So I did this, went through the process, and they gave me the amount for both chairs, which was $140 each. So The long short of it was that I bought an insurance policy for something that I knew was going to fail. I knew it was going to fail, and so we bought the insurance policy. By doing this, I paid $30 for each for 2 chairs, and their real cost, the real value of these chairs is probably $30. By doing this, I got as close to the real price, buying a $140 overpriced chair, paying really only $30 for it. But I just, thought about it, and I thought, this is what AIG does. This is what big insurance companies do. They buy something that they know is going to fail. Okay, they take your subprime loan and they bet against it. Okay, well, I'll just take this money and I'll bet against it. Ultimately, they know that it's going to fail and they're going to get paid. They just have to be patient. And if you do the same thing, it's a surefire guarantee that chair is going to break down. But how many people don't buy the warranty or don't?
Oh my God, 99%. I've never heard of anybody buying. I mean, usually it's electronics or things like that they try to offer you the warranty. I've never heard of anybody that has bought office chairs and bought warranty on them. So kudos on you for dropping $60. But
now I have 2 great poker chairs out in the garage, and a new one right here. I'm sitting in.
Is it a cash check they gave you, or do you have to go back and
no? They're
to the
just
store?
Gift certificates.
Okay, for their store.
But I used the gift certificate to buy this new chair, which was $200. It's really nice. And
did you buy the
$30 warranty? I bought another $30 warranty. She's all giving me this is how it works, and here's the brochure, and I'm like, I know.
I've pimped your company. I know exactly how.
You almost feel like you're doing something criminal. I'm in there shopping, trying to buy anything I can. I'm like, do I need a new pair of sunglasses? What the hell am I going to do? I still have $92 at OfficeMax. I have to figure out what to do.
Well, here's the good news for that company. That probably 90% of the 95, it's 95 to 99% of the people who ever buy warranties for $30 a pop, they don't ever. They have the chair for 3 years and throw it in the garbage.
That's why they don't even want to. They're not even going to pay the money to have this thing shipped back to them. They're like, just text us a picture. Oh yeah, here's your free money that has to go back to the store. So you're still buying stuff that's marked up that they've already forced the markup on. Sure. You probably even at $30, they probably still profited off of the chair.
Absolutely, because they made $100 on the initial sale,
right?
Over what their cost was,
and they got to keep that money and invest it for 2 years, interest free, and then they gave it back to me. And the purchasing power of that money 2 years later is just not there.
And don't worry, Doug. If the company goes to shit because they go bankrupt in bad investments, you're going to bail them out anyway. So you might as well take advantage of it while you can.
Got a nice new chair.
Yes, you do. Who's your team? Are you a Dallas fan?
I don't watch pro football.
Oh, that's right. You're not a pro guy.
I'm not a pro guy. I only like that somewhat collegiate, amateurish football. I mean, I watch it. I watch football when I go over to people's houses for free food.
Sure. Is Barry Sanders Jr.? He's at Stanford, I believe, and
they suck.
Yeah,
not doing very well.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not, I think he's a redshirt sophomore right now, and I don't.
But I mean, at Stanford, I mean, they're brainiacs. It's got to be hard to recruit.
Well, I'm hoping. I mean, some of the moves that he has are very reminiscent of his dad, and I'm hoping to, in the next couple of years, see him in the bigs because I used to watch his old man run.
Yeah. I haven't followed him enough because that's just not my team, but. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really talented guys out there that may have what it takes to get to the NFL, and that you can be part of the political crap world that the NFL has become. That's why I can't stand it. I can't stand, I can't get behind Goodell. I can't stand Jerry Jones. And I mean, the Texans are, I guess, the only other homer team that I could go with, and they're just a dumpster fire. Although they have a great D, but most of our listeners don't give a damn about it, and I don't really care that much. I mean, I like looking at it because there actually is kind of some parapolitics or some metapolitics that you find in the stories, and they use this as a huge mouthpiece because it's so popular. So if you watch it, you're going to catch on to what they're pushing, different memes, what's the new. I mean,
political correct.
Yeah, they dress them all up in pink for breast cancer awareness, and they're a bunch of guys running around in tights, so it's pretty homoerogenous, I think. And as the years go on, I kind of like it less. Unless.
I thought you were going to say more.
No,
like,
just
like the UFC naked guys wrestling around.
Yeah. Well, Nick Diaz, he was arrested.
Whoa, this is news to me. When was this?
Beating something. I just saw this right before the show started.
He kind of semi-retired from MMA fighting, and I used to love to watch him fight because he's an absolute punk. I mean, have you ever watched him fight? Yeah. And
arrested on DUI charges for the second time. Drunk driving. Yeah, see, I'm on top of this. It only happened 43 minutes ago, and I already know about it. In Fox Sports sent me an update. Did I lose Charlie? Charlie, did you float away? Yeah. Oh, you floated away from me.
No, I'm here. You got me?
Yeah.
It did that default sound. It hasn't done that for a while, and then kicked me off. But I was going to wrap it up anyway. I want to thank Robert B. and Brian H. and Sarah K. and everybody who's been contributing to this program regularly. Thank you very much. My name is Charlie McGrath. My website's wideawakenews.com. My friend, my co-founder, is Doug Owen. His website is blacklistednews.com. If you want to contact me directly, info@wideawakenews.com. If you want to contact Doug, contact him at doug@blacklistednews.com. Where can they follow us, Doug Owen?
They can follow us on Twitter at Doomcast Show, and you can also just text me or leave me creepy voicemails like some people do at 512-222-3067 after you've had your dose of malt liquor or whatever it is, whenever those
no
Nazi
butt
UFO...
chugging, though. No butt chugging.
Don't call me butt chugging. Don't.
No butt chugging. See you, Owen.
All right, we're out of here. We'll be back next week with another live edition of Doomcast. Until then, take care.
Peace out, y'all.